Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to put together the champagne flute box from Simply Crafty SVGs. So with the file comes panels. So there's side panels, front panels, lid panels. I've already put together a number of them, so I'm going to do one of the side ones. They do have double panels, so there's a smaller panel that is centered within the large panel. Yeah, you could select to only use one panel if you'd like, but because it's a champagne glass box, sometimes I think having an additional color might be helpful depending on how fancy you want to make the box, but you could do it with just one panel. It's just optional. So when you put them on, as you're watching, this one goes a particular way, so just make sure you have it oriented the correct way. And I like to anchor it at the bottom, so you want to make sure that there's an even spacing around every section. And then once you have it set in place, you can kind of adjust it on the top and then rub it, to rub it up. I would say from down to up or up to down, whichever way, but it works best that you can kind of lightly set it down so you can place it in the right area. And this is just simply centering. That's one of the sides of the lid. And then you see the lid is already done there, the top of the lid. So we're going to put together the lid, but before we do, we want to put the panels on. So again, these just center. So it does help if you fold the lid piece first, because it kind of shows you where the edges are, where the score lines are. So if you do fold it, I had already folded it, but you just want to fold the tabs in and the sides. Then go ahead and continue to add the panels on the side of the lid. You just want to center them. And I did kind of go high. It wasn't quite centered. So if you do it one way, so you kind of place the panel higher. If you just want it to look consistent, either lower or higher, just continue to place it in the same place around the lid. The same thing on the box too. You'll see that you don't have to be perfect, but I do pay attention to things like that where I place it. And if you do some other paper crafting, you could also use just one set of panels and emboss them. That would be pretty. But most of my boxes for wine glasses they don't only have one panel, or tumblers. So now just to assemble the lid, we're going to glue these tabs underneath the adjacent sides. So we're just going to line up that tab fold to the edges of the adjacent sides of the lid. So I did glue on both sides, but you could do one at a time if you want. So I just lined it up, and I kind of used my finger to make sure that that edge doesn't go beyond that tab fold. And just lining up those corners. Now you want to hold them for a little bit depending on how long your glue takes to dry. But you don't want to do the other two until your glue dries. And this is not real speed. It is a little bit faster than normal because I'm naturally slow. But it will take longer than what you see here unless you have like Speedy Gonzalez glue. So go ahead and do the other sides. And another thing, this lid is going to be quite snug if you use two panels. And that's okay, it fits, but it's a little bit tighter when you use two panels versus one set of panels. Either way it'll work. So we have that finished. So now we're going to add the panels to the actual box. So I'm going to do the opening first, and as we did with the panels, this is probably the most difficult. Again, make sure you dry fit it so you know which way you need to turn it, because the top is a little bit bigger than the bottom. So when you place it down, I kind of go down to the bottom, and I want to make sure that everything's spaced evenly. See, there's even a space in the middle. So I'm just not applying pressure quite yet until I get it oriented the way I want. And it doesn't have to be perfect. No, I didn't make it exactly perfect, but try to, I go a little faster with my videos. Spend some time if you're going to use this as a gift, and make sure that middle one is centered. And then we'll go ahead. These are pretty simple. You could always use the center one to help you figure out where to line it up. But you just want to center it on that panel. And it does help, just like with the lid, that if they're already folded on the score lines. And I did pre-fold this. Then we have two more large panels, solid panels. One's on this left side, and then it'll be on the back piece. And if you don't know, we do have videos that explain how to cut these out on Cricut and Silhouette, if that's one of the two machines you use. So if you're having any difficulty, you can go to our website, and there's a help section at the top that links to the Cricut help or Silhouette help. So here I'm just folding this piece on the score lines. Then I'm going to set it flat, and that helps me visually see the score line, so it's easier for me to center it. That's all I did. The actual box is quite simple to put together. Putting the panels on is probably the most time-consuming part, but it does strengthen your box. So now we're going to add glue along this long one of the tabs. So we'll start with the left tab. Try to get the glue as close to the corners as you can. Just be careful with leakage. I try not to get them close to the edge, but you kind of want to go all the way to the edge because you want it to close secure well. So I'm going to line up that left edge to the tab fold. I had a little glue leakage, so I always have a wet paper towel handy. And then apply a goodly amount of pressure against the table. And you can see the other side. And then we're just going to flip over, just making sure everything's folded well. I'm going to flip over the other tab. And what's nice, because it's a square box, once you get the glue on here, we can just flip over the right side and it should line up fairly well with the tab fold. If it doesn't, just go ahead and kind of apply pressure to squish it in a little bit, but it is precise measurements. Your folds could just make it off a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and close the bottom of the box. So the first thing you usually do with this type of closure is to push the fork side in. So you want to kind of pull those side flaps open, push the fork side in, and then pull the sides in, and then put that last piece in. And I'm going to do it again because I just didn't get my finger on that last piece. It really isn't that difficult, but you go ahead and do that, and then just kind of fold it in, and that little flap will kind of go in and then under, providing the support inside, and you'll be able to see it here. That should be able to support, it supports the champagne glass size that is indicated on the product description quite fine. So here it is. I put one in there without the insert. So you could use the box without the insert, but I do have an optional insert to hold the glass in place. So that's what it looks like. But I will show you right now how to put the insert in, which a little bit of a chore, but if you want it to look a little extra special, this is a little piece that you can add to it. So we're going along and folding across along the score lines. And then that circle in the middle is a certain size, but if you needed it slightly larger, you could always cut around the edges. And this is what it looks like when it's put together. So we'll put it together just like we did the lid. It's just to reinforce this. All we're doing is to close this up so it'll be easier for us to insert it into the box. We really don't need these tabs, but it is essential because it's such a long ways to push this down that it's too flimsy with the cut in it. And the cut is in there, and you'll see it, so you can slide the glass in. So we'll add glue to these other two tabs. And then you see there's kind of a slit. If you're watching this and you see in the middle, there's a slit all the way down one side and to the middle. That's where we can slide the neck of the, I think that's what it's called. Can't remember what it's called. But anyways, the stem, neck. Anyways, we could slide that in. So if it should cut to the edge, but if it doesn't open, there should be just a little, yeah, just pull it open like that and slide it in. Now this, like I said, this is not the easiest to get in. So I'd put the slit on the back, and then you just want to first get it started. So get it in there. It is slightly smaller than the box itself. And if you do have a glass, you obviously have to slide it in at the same time. But once you get it down far enough, you can reach through the front to slide it down. And obviously I haven't personalized this glass. I have a label on it, but I needed something to size. I don't have any occasion for it yet. But then you can get it down there, and it should sit below that bottom edge of that opening. And then you can put the lid on. I'll show you what it looks like finished. So that's what it looks like. So again, you don't need to use the insert, but it's optional. And here's another color that I cut out. Be good for a wedding, a generic wedding or anniversary gift. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you for watching.